And now, words of wisdom with Adam Carriker.
Let's all take a moment and be thankful that spiders can't fly.
And with that, good morning. Welcome to Fourth and Pain, the only, the best pro wrestling show hosted by an NFL player and a weight loss champion. He is Redskins defensive end Adam Carriker.
Hello.
I am the weight loss champion Chuck Carroll, and this is Fourth and Pain. Be sure to check us out online, fourthandpain.com, and on Twitter at Fourth and Pain. Both mandatory, both very mandatory.
Absolutely.
Headed into a tough game this afternoon against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But, Adam, before we touch on that, let's touch on last week and the madness that was the Cincinnati Bengals game in the home opener. Of course, a lot of controversy at the end, but some good did come out of the game. The offense continuing to put a good number of points on the board. You have to like that.
Absolutely. This is the third week in a row. I mean, it was, 40 points, 31 points. What did we get this last week? 28 and then 31. So they're continuing to do well every week.
Can't argue there. And then RG3, I'm going to call him the cardiac kid. He made the stadium, all 90,000 people, hold their collective breath after he dove into the end zone trying to beat that pylon for the touchdown. He lay there for a few extra seconds. People wondering, oh, my goodness gracious, is he hurt? No, he pops up. He was just a little bit frustrated, so he took his time getting back up. But for that, he has earned the nickname, the cardiac kid. This guy is invaluable to the franchise. Obviously, one of the more important players in the franchise history. Certainly the most important player this season on the team. And for him to go down and for him to be sacked 6 times this past week, as a Redskins journalist, as a guy that covers football for a living, you got to wonder what's going to happen to this team if at some point he does succumb to injury.
I mean, injuries are a part of the game. Obviously, I got hurt. Rack got hurt. It's just a part of the game. But I mean, the guy's not hurt, so don't put the doomsday cloud of terror over him already. I mean, he's healthy. We're rolling. Well, we're not rolling. We got to get some more wins. But I mean, he's doing just fine. Don't doomsday the guy.
I'm not going to jinx him. I'm just saying this is a topic of discussion that you and I are the only two people in the DC area discussing it. I will tell you that right now.
I mean, he's a smart guy. He can scramble. He can run with the football. I see him sliding. I see him being smart and trying to avoid as many hits as he can. So I think he'll be all right.
Also, good news on the injury front with Trent Williams with that right knee. Just when he goes down and Jordan Black has to come in, we were initially thinking, the worst, thinking it could be something along the lines of what you suffered in St. Louis. But the good news, MRI comes back, and it's just a bone bruise. He's day to day. We'll see how he is this afternoon for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, from what I understand, he's doing all right. I'm sure they'll take a look at him. They've looked at him at practice throughout this week and see how he does. But it's not anything serious from what I understand. So that is great news.
That is really, really good news. And so if, he stays healthy and then at some point this season, maybe knock on wood, Jamal Brown's able to come back and solidify that left tackle spot, I think that the Redskins are going to be in good shape. And I really think that a few more W's are going to be put on the board.
I mean, we have plenty of opportunities to win. We're a plenty good enough team. Obviously, the last 2 games haven't gone the way we've liked them to, but Tyler Columbus, the first 2 games played well. And Jordan, I've practiced against him and played against him in the past as well. He faced a couple of good pass rushers this weekend. They got the better of him a few times, but I think he's still a good player in this league.
And your coach said as much. Mike Shanahan said as much on Monday during his weekly press conference. He said Jordan Black, he was very pleased with his performance. Obviously, a little bit rusty having spent last season out of the game, but for him to come in basically cold off the bench and do what he did, not all that bad, not as bad as it looked on paper.
Like I said, I've played against this guy. He's not a bad player. He's got plenty of gas left in the tank, if you will. He's a 9-year vet, so he's still got plenty of football left in him.
And again, if you go back and you look at the tape, it's not as though Jordan or any of the other linemen were beaten 6 times. A number of those blitzes were coverage blitzes or coverage sacks, and so it's not as though the Redskins line is completely decimated, in my opinion. Certainly some room for improvement, as there is in the secondary, but like you said with RG3, it's not necessarily all doom and gloom.
Oh, absolutely not. Like I've said, I've seen the team practice. I've been with them. We're a much better team than what we have shown. What we did against the Saints was not a fluke, and I'm predicting a lot more victories this year.
About that secondary, though, gave up just a number, I believe 3 passes of 48 yards, 3 touchdown passes of 48 yards or more, including that big 70-plus yarder at the beginning of the game, that little bit of razzle-dazzle. What can the secondary do? I mean, you're familiar with these guys. What is something that D. Hall needs to do? Maybe Josh Wilson needs to step up a little bit. What can they do to shore up that secondary here now that we're in the middle of the season?
I'm not going to pretend like I know how to cover anybody. What I do know is, week 1 against the Saints, we went against, one of the best passing attacks in the NFL, played really well. DJ ended up winning player of the game as far as the team goes on defense. And so they've shown what they can do. They've shown they can play well. And that first play of the game was a wildcat formation. So everybody in the Milky Way galaxy is thinking run. Kudos to the Bengals for putting a guy back there who can throw. Kudos for running that play and, ultimately getting the big touchdown. And so kudos to them for all that, wonderfulness on their part. But the fact of the matter is everybody's thinking run, and I would be shocked if anything like that happened again.
You think that moving forward, Hazlitt's going to kind of maybe go to more of a man, maybe a little bit less zone? I mean, obviously, things you can't tell me. Maybe you can. I don't really know. But, again, there are a lot of holes there. Even Shanahan said Monday afternoon that the secondary was going to need to improve moving forward, giving up significant amounts of yardage, and that is the big concern. It just seems like compared to years past where it was the defense carrying the team and the offense was struggling to put points on the board, now it's a complete opposite where the team is going out putting up 30-plus points as a matter of routine, and the defense is having a difficult time keeping the opposition out of the end zone.
Well, I think we have the ability on defense. In fact, I know that we do. All we got to do is just play up to that ability. We've shown what we can do at times this year. Even with a couple of injuries, guys like Jarvis and then Jack, gets the pick for the touchdown. Chris Wilson has practiced well, and our secondary has played well. We just got to do what I've seen us do many times this year. And if we do that on defense, we're going to be just fine.
Well, let's not beat a dead horse in that end. The coaching staff, they know what they're doing, so things will be tightened up, and maybe we'll see some improvement moving forward. But I want to move forward to the end of the game last week against the Bengals, where the Redskins were assessed a 20-yard penalty, which I did not know existed in the NFL.
I didn't either. That was interesting.
Obviously, there was no runoff of the clock, given the 5-yard penalty that the Redskins should have been assessed. 2 officials, as I understand it, on the sideline ruled that the game was over. Kyle Shanahan knew differently and made his opinion known, winds up getting flagged for the unsportsmanlike penalty, as more than half of the Bengals team is out on the field thinking that the game was already over. Yet the Redskins get assessed not the 15 yards, but the full 20-yard penalty, completely negating any realistic chance they had of the ball in the end zone and tying the game up late. Watching it at home, what did you take away from that?
There wasn't a whole lot of clarity. I knew there was a penalty. I didn't know there was 2. All I knew was that all of a sudden we'd been moved back 20 yards, which I didn't know there was a 20-yard penalty. You told me later there was 2 penalties. I still don't think they can assess 2 penalties on one play, so that's interesting. Some people have told me, such as yourself, that it should have been a penalty on the Bengals. It's just craziness. It's right now, it's just craziness, and you want to get the calls right. And you want the team who should win the game to win the game. You want the team who should lose the game to lose the game. And right now you don't know if that's always happening.
And that's on the replacement officials. And then, of course, you flash forward to the Monday night game. What a wild finish between Green Bay and Seattle. You kind of went over it very clearly with me using a microphone to demonstrate how I believe it was Jennings for Green Bay came down with the ball, yet somehow Golden Tate is ruled the receiver there, the guy that came down with it, giving the Seattle Seahawks the victory. What can the NFL do to right this ship?
It's tough at this point. By far the best thing that we can do is to get the regular officials out there, get the professionals out there. A lot of people are mad at the replacement refs. And are they making incorrect calls? Are they messing up? Yes, but this is not what they normally do. I'm not really mad at them because somebody has to be out there. If somebody's not out there, then we're not playing football right now.
Right.
And no, they're not making all the right calls, but the fact of the matter is they got to get the thing figured out and resoluted between the 2 sides, whichever side you want to blame. I'm just saying we need to get it figured out so we can get the the real referees back out on the field. And then if they mess up, then hey, it is what it is. That's the game, and you can yell at the real referees. But until then, I have a hard time getting mad at the guys who are just trying to make it so we can play.
I will say this: it didn't look as though last Sunday's game was nearly as chippy as the proceedings in St. Louis. It looked like the refs did a better job of taking control and keeping the players reined in that regard. Maybe struggling with a few calls here or there, but did a better job ultimately of controlling the game in that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see a whole lot of brawls or fights or a whole lot of things after the whistle. It looked like a fairly clean football game to me as far as, guys treating each other with respect.
And, leave it to our good friends at WWE for capitalizing on the whole NFL referee debate. Did you see the opening of Raw?
I did see that. I could not help but laugh. I literally LOL'd out loud.
On one side of the blindfold, I believe it was Paul Heyman and CM Punk presented referee with a blindfold. On one side of the patch was the WWE logo. On the other side was the NFL shield. And yes, just like you, I LOL'd. Well played, WWE. Well played.
I love how they've been doing that for the past couple of weeks. The pay-per-view, the ref may or may not have made the wrong call. And then last week, he did make the wrong call. And then they came out with the blindfold. I love how they really capitalized on what's going on in the NFL to help themselves. That's really just smart business tactics on their part.
Again, just like Law and Order, ripped from the headlines. I absolutely love it, and so I think that we're going to see more of that going forward, and it's actually going to get mimicked across the board. I don't think WWE is going to be the only entertainment company out there to capitalize on this situation. So just keep an eye out. The new TV season rolled out, and so maybe we'll see something on Law and Order SUV about it.
You know what's funny?
What's that?
My wife and I watch that show.
Do you?
And if it is on there, we will be able to let you know, my friend.
Oh, I'm a big fan. You know that Mariska Hargitay. I've had a crush on her for some time.
You remember the movie The Replacements with like Keanu Reeves or something?
Yes.
They're going to have a movie about the refs now. That's going to be the new blockbuster hit. Will Smith, he's always in every blockbuster hit, it seems.
Well, you've got some time. Maybe you should pen that, and that'll be your ticket to Hollywood.
We'll see what happens. Actually, my high school coach, he has a book out. It's a true crime novel, and actually, he's got a part for me in his movie when it becomes a movie. I'm going to be the blackjack dealer. Hold on, not blackjack, roulette, and I'm going to go, no more bets, please.
No more bets.
And that's my entire role in the movie.
Well, let's do what we always do about this time. Let's dial up Colorado. Let's go to our field reporter, check in on the Peyton Pulse. Peyton Manning out there this week. Almost let him back against the Houston Texans. This is your wife on the line, the lovely and talented Angie Carriker.
How you doing, sweetie?
Good.
Angie, let me do the honors this week. What is the Peyton Pulse?
It's kind of interesting. Had he not had more commercials than Jenny Craig in the past month, we wouldn't even really know he exists right now just because of the whole referee things, and it's really unfortunate, but they just seem to be overshadowing the games and what the quarterbacks and the teams are doing out there, so...
Going back and looking at his stat line, he threw 52 times against the Texans. 52 times. Any question about him coming back healthy has to go out the window if a team's willing to use him 52 times in a game.
Absolutely. And I think she's right. A great story such as Peyton Manning, is kind of being overshadowed by these refs. He completes 50% of his passes, had like 3 touchdowns, 300 and some yards passing. Other than all, like she said, more commercials than Jenny Craig, other than all of his commercials, he's kind of been forgotten about because of all the calls and replacement referee discussion that's going on.
Angie Carriker with the Peyton Pulse. Thank you so much. We will check in again with you next week.
Thank you, sweetie.
Sounds good.
Thanks. And this is Fourth and Pain. Don't go anywhere. On the other side of the break, we're going to award the Fourth and Pain Championship belt to the Player of the Week. Who's it going to be? Stick around and find out. This is Fourth and Pain.